Opinions never cause problems on the internet. When someone puts out their opinion on the internet, every single person takes that opinion with grace and understanding, even when they do not agree with it. And I know that my opinion, which is what this video is going to be, will be no different. I expect the classiest of comments, even those that see things a different way than me. That being said, Oryx is not the strongest thing we have ever fought, or even the strongest being in Destiny lore. I would dare say not even the strongest hive god. Okay. I'm sure I raised a few people's blood pressure. I can see the veins popping on bare foreheads and fists being clenched. I have prepared for this though. I'm looking out for you all. So if you use code STICKY at Williams Pitchfork Emporium, you will get 15% off all pitchforks, torches, and if you use the code in the first 24 hours, 10% off on anger rakes. And if you don't know what an anger rake is, they are rakes that you aggressively use to pile leaves while determinedly grumble under your breath, but loud enough that you hope that your neighbor Jonathan hears. Honestly, maybe Jonathan should have trimmed his hedges so it's not spilling over your fence. Jonathan obviously has the inability of being a quality neighbor, but what if I also told you he knows even less about Destiny lore? Oh, walnut brain Jonathan. Not a thought in that head. Don't be like Jonathan though. Make sure you sub to this channel to stay informed for all lore and the best ways to pile leaves. I'll give you a hint. Make small piles first, then combine small piles to make one big pile. Can you imagine if I did a Destiny leaf raking lore video? Would anybody even watch that? Like just me talking about Destiny lore with a rake in my hand? Okay, that's stupid. That's stupid. Nobody would watch that. Now, I also wanted to say something about my last video. I had a few comments about my mispronouncing of words. This is something that happens a lot. And if you've seen my TikTok videos over the last 3 years, you know me and words don't always get along. Even my Twitch viewers know this, that people will come in and I'll say people's names wrong because the words get a little jumbled up. This is me being partially dyslexic. It doesn't happen all the time, but when I'm reading these scripts, the words jumble up and the letters switch places on me. It's not even when I'm reading, my brain just sometimes moves so fast that the words rearrange in my head before I say it. I promise you, it's very frustrating for me. This is not me being lazy or uneducated. I'm sure my editor, Poffit, can tell you how many times I'm sitting trying to say certain words correctly and even looking up how to pronounce them on Google and then saying it to myself over and over and over, trying to memorize it before I do my 3rd and 8th take. Now, with that out of the way and some slight Jonathan slander, we can move on to the topic at hand. Who is the strongest darkness enemy in lore? I'm going to go weakest to strongest for this list. I will also say that ranking these types of things are tricky, because the list shifts and changes depending on what we count as strength. Is it physical? Is it mental strength? Or does magic count? The majority of this list, things would remain the same, but the 3 hive gods would shift around in order depending on how we weight those mental, physical, and magic attributes. So when I make this list, keep that in mind. I will present my reasoning and try to make as much sense as wasting my time power scaling fictional characters will allow. And for obvious reasons, I'm not going to add the witness to this list. If I did add the witness, everyone would know that that would be the strongest. No one even comes close to the witness. The entire reason any of this list even exists, or even has an ounce of power, is because the witness gave it to them. So the witness is strongest, and there's not even a case to be made against that fact. The witness can chill on his throne and drink lemonade with Jonathan or whatever, while the rest of us have a discussion about the beings under the witness. Let's start with the weakest member of the witness's army. This entry only knows loss. This 4-time loser, well, 5-time loser depending on how you look at it, has never seen a gold medal. Aramis is the saddest excuse of a villain we have ever faced. We have defeated her so many times she had to leave the whole solar system with her tail. Do a listening have tails? I don't know. Between her legs. If you're wondering how she lost so many times, well, we defeated her in 0 Hour when she tried to get Siva. We beat her in Beyond Light when she got a hold of Stasis. We beat her in Season of the Plunder when she was trying to find all of Nezarec's body parts. And we also stopped her in Season of the Seraph when Rasputin blew himself up. So that is 4 times that we can seriously count as her losses. But she was also captured during the Wolf Rebellion and put into the Prison of Elders. Now, if you really want to count it, we could also count a 6th loss. Didn't happen in game. It happened well before we were ever revived. She was the lead fallen fallen to attack the city during Twilight Gap. And if you aren't aware, Guardians of the Time, thanks to Shax, won that battle. Aramis doesn't hold a candle as far as strength goes to any other character in this video. At least the rest have kind of had some successes under their belt. And Aramis is also missing 2 of her eyes, so she also lost part of her eyesight. So, you know, just an all-around loser. I'm gonna go on a tangent real quick because Aramis just makes me angry. I'm just gonna be honest. Aramis just makes me angry, and I think she's possibly the worst character in Destiny history, all Hawthorns and Nimbuses excluded. I'm going to paint a picture for you. You're walking down an alley after seeing Phantom of the Opera with your parents. A mugger runs down the alleyway and shoots your mother, but doesn't kill her. Yeah, you thought you were gonna be Batman in this story, but not today. Your mother lives, but decides to leave your father because he wasn't able to protect her. Your father starts drinking and is obviously very upset. So what does your father do? He decides to hate your mother. Think of ways to get revenge on her for leaving him. You sit there and watch all of this happen, not knowing what to do. Then it hits your father. He knows the best way to get back at your mother. He makes a deal to kill your mom with the very person who mugged her in that alleyway. He tells you he's doing this to make sure you are safe, that no one will ever benefit from the love of your mother again, and she won't be able to leave her next man. That's Aramis's whole story. And the kid in the story are the rest of the Olisni. She doesn't care about them, no matter what is said. She only cares about her revenge. She's mad at the Traveler for leaving the Fallen and joined up with the very thing that caused it to leave. How stupid is that? All right. Sorry. I really just can't stand Aramis. But at least she wasn't shaped like a wad of chewing gum, like the next strongest member of the Witnesses army. If you've never read the Captain Log book from the Presage mission, this is how Callus is described. This page is blighted with mold and the imprint of a memory. The words seep experience into your mind, through the eyes of Catabus. A royal invitation got me as far as the inner Requili. I enter the belly of the Leviathan unattended. My eyes catch on the runs in Callus's crestfallen banners. His inner halls don't gleam. Reminds me of the stories from the Golden Age. Polish the veneer and present them on a platter. But when you peel back the layers, it's just old. Past with prime far behind. Ahead, a legionary in Loyalist Guild nods to me and swings open a door. A manufactured version of Callus stands tall on the other side. Its likeness mirrors the Tribute Hall's automaton and many other statuesque bots I'd spoken to him through. The statue of Callus winds to life. You're early, but I suppose your tribe is always ahead of the pack, Hunter. Should I have this room moved, that you may stroll the Leviathan's halls, that you may longer and appreciate my hospitality? I'm not sure what he wants to hear. She's an impressive beast. I've come to take the job. I turn it like an offer. Uncomfortable silence. Come and see me, Catabus. I have a gift for you. The statue points toward a domed chamber. Its curled walls spot every kind of trophy. Bones on hooks, taxidermy wrapped around terrified eyes in final moments. A clutch of counselors watches me as they take mechanical plates from 3 other identical statues of Callus surrounding them. They huddle around a towering cage of filigreed alloys and woven circuitry, fitting the plates to it with sacramental focus, until the cage becomes a tomb around a pearlescent seat supporting a loathsome figure within. What an auspicious early arrival. Come, witness my containment. Few have seen this. Callus wheezes from inside the cage, his voice like taut suffocation. Callus's withering form swells and jostles. My thoughts sink of disgust, and he can smell it. I am no more trapped here than you are by your light. You assume this flesh satisfies me. How small. My automatons stand as monuments of my image, reflections of my breath. They are, as I am, one collective self, as nothing is. I grit my teeth and look on, stepping sideways to see him from a different angle. His skin is molted with sticky translucence that grips my stomach. Your thoughts are as open as your fears, Catabus. Come, look upon me, and let my counselors assuage you. Counselors lay more thick plates over Callus's living misery, brushing past me as they finish and exiting the room with my inhibitions. Mechanisms within the plates engage as plume light emits from the slits between them. Nacre runs smooth around the frames and into the throne-like cup of sullied nobility. Beneath the throne, hoses bubble viscous royal wine into the sealed frame. Callus looks through me, eyes like clumped chalk, as the last counselor fastens a faceplate into position. Deep orbs illuminate in the faceplate like wild eyes in the open pitch of night. We are alone. What do you know of lies, Catibus? I pick between the words. There's a lot different kinds, and all of them are weakness. Callus's voice spills from the containment vessel and floods the room. Gods do not lie. Like me, they have neither the capacity nor the reason. True power cannot be threatened. It does not compel deception. And yet, I have been betrayed by one I thought to be the final divinity. Sounds like you got swindled. I quickly blunt the question with respect. Emperor? When the darkness found me adrift in the cosmos, rejected by a people I had made, I thought to have found a confidant. No, an idol. They promised to return to me, to uplift me, that we may dance together among the stars and drink of their dying ecstasy, till the end as one. But their chilling little fleet came and went. It was luscious, and so many tasted so much. Yet I am empty, nothing, trapped in this limbo of their lie. And gods don't lie, I proffer. Precisely, to be seen. Callus pauses to heap the drama. For what we really are, underneath the surface, is bliss. All four statues step forward to bear Callus's vessel. His voice resounds from all of them simultaneously. Come, cast a shadow in my halls and drink. Soon we will speak to the liar and separate it, the truth. If you have ever watched the show on Amazon, Invincible, Callus looks basically how I would describe him. Looks like robot's human form. Not really a pleasant sight or something that exudes power. But as we know, Callus had incredible psionic abilities, being able to project his head into a bright purple form that could attack. He also was able to use and take over all the robotic versions of himself. So mentally, he was a very, very powerful foe. And if this was based on solely psionic power, he would be much higher on this list. But we also have to take a look at the witness gifting Callus his body back in Lightfall. When Callus became a disciple, he was allowed a version of his old body and imbued with the power the witness granted him. Now, while Callus was a powerful enemy, he was still on the weak end of the totem pole. He's also, along with the Black Heart, one of the only enemies that we have ever beaten solo, canonically, without any outside help. This statement confuses you, please check out my video, Who is the Strongest Guardian in Destiny Lore, which, shameless plug, was featured on Bungie's website. But even with the witness's power, he was easily dispatched by us and turned into a nice Christmas tree to bring hopes and presents to children for years to come. Callus was a pushover compared to the rest on this list. While we never really got to see him in-game at his strongest, Nezarec would be the next strongest after Callus. Nezarec was never considered a physically strong disciple. His power and might laid in corrupting the mind and will of those around him. While the raid really didn't do him justice, he did kinda just wake up from being dead for hundreds of years. And if you all saw me before I've had my morning tea and shower, you'd be able to knock me out with a light pillow attack. So I get it, my man was tired. But with the ability to enter people's minds and make them hunt and kill, he was not an enemy to take lightly. He may have had wet noodle arms, but he could make up for it with his nightmares. Cade even had an encounter with Nezarec during the collapse. As told in the Taken King Collector's Edition lore, Cade's Treasure Island book. There's no bounty, no hive. I'm out in plain sight. Sky is torn open and there's nothing and nobody left in this ruined world but me, and the boiling shadow all around. Whatever it is hits me before I can level my gun. Doesn't matter. Tendrils of pain crawl over my splayed fingers, my outstretched arms, my shoulders, my neck, my screaming mouth as it consumes. I'm being enveloped. Everything is wrong, primordial. My systems go sideways. All but my sensors. It wants me to witness this. The world. Its world now. Suffocating in the black poison. I collapse. We all collapse. Nezarec gains power the more people who worship him and are infected by his mark. On top of being a dream walker and the opposite of an emotional support teddy bear, he also can't really ever die. No matter how many times he has been killed, he always comes back. And yes, he can still come back even after the raid. As long as people think about him, dream about him, and fear him, worship him, he can return again one day to Freddy Krueger his way into our hearts and minds again. Before I get into this next part, I'm going to admit the next three are very, very tricky to place in any order. I know a lot of people think Oryx is the strongest being that's ever existed, but that just isn't reality. That's just not the case. There are two reasons why people think Oryx is the strongest hive. One, he had the title of king, and two, he killed his sisters. There are a couple things wrong with these two arguments. The title of king is meaningless in terms of power. King Tut was a king, had the title of king, had all the authority of a king in Egypt, and he had a club foot and died at the age of 18. Having a title of authority is not a show of power. And as far as him killing his sisters, well, they kind of told him to do it. Beneath a green fire sky, in the throne world of King Oryx, our lord's embrace, we, the hive, watch as Savathun puts her arm around Xivu Arath, and Xivu Arath clasps the forearms with Oryx, and Oryx takes Savathun by the shoulder. They are huge, and they burn with furious power. But this embrace is weakness, and we despise it. Never before have we despised our lords. Have they failed us? We, our hive, have been driven back, world by world. I am at my end, Savathun says. I plot and plan, but I cannot gather enough bloodshed to feed my worm, and the harder I try, the hungrier it becomes. I slaughter and kill, Xivu Arath says, but the harder I fight, the more my worm demands. I too am at my end. The Ecumene war angels have killed me so many times, Oryx says, that I dare not go out into the universe lest I need my might to protect myself. My worm chews at my soul in hunger. Is this the end of our crusade? Are we, the hive, unworthy to exist? Xivu Arath puts down her great head. We should retire and gather our strength. Savathun closes her eyes in puzzled defeat. We should beg the worm, our god, to tell us what to do. But King Oryx, who knows best the beauty of the final shape, roars at them. Have you learned nothing? Would you deny our purpose? Whatever we do it by killing, by an act of war and might. That is the final arbiter we serve, that violent arbiter. And if we turn away from it, we deserve to be eaten. No, we must obey our natures. We must be the long-sighted and cunning and strong. We must take this gift the worms our god has given us, this challenge, and find a way to keep existing. How will we feed our worms? Xivu Arath asks. I know, says cunning Savathun. I know a way, but it won't work unless we are killing the Ecumene by the billions. How can we beat them? If we cannot beat their strength, says Xivu Arath, we must infect their weaknesses. But they are lords of matter and physical law. I know a way, King Oryx says, but it will require great power, more power than any one of us can claim. Then kill me, says Xivu Arath, and use that killing logic, the power you prove by killing something as mighty as me. So King Oryx took up his blade and beheaded Xivu Arath. And strangle me, says Savathun, holding a blade behind her back. Use that killing logic, the cunning you prove by killing something as smart as me. But King Oryx turned with the speed and might of Xivu Arath and beheaded Savathun before she could move. King Oryx was the first navigator, with a map of death, and these were true deaths, for they happened in the sword world. Then he went to the worm named Akka. So we cannot use the fact that Oryx ended his sister's lives as an argument to talk about his strength. And even if we did want to use killing as a metric, Savathun at least killed Oryx without him wanting to be killed. She killed him earlier on when he showed a race mercy. So does that now mean that Savathun is stronger than Oryx? Okay. Let's provide now how the three of them each get their power. They all have a tribute system, so their strength is dependent on how many people they have under them. But they also have different ways of gaining strength. Savathun must trick to feed her worm. When she lies, confuses, or gets people thinking about her lies, she gains power. I shall discorporate, so that I exist wherever my schemes and conspiracies also exist. And so I will be immortal, as long as anyone seeks to understand me and fails. Savathun to a confused thrall. Honestly, I'm right there with the thrall. I get so confused sometimes when people are telling me things. That thrall was just trying to mind its own business, and Savathun's like, let me tell you the meaning of the universe and lies. And the thrall was like, Queen, I'm just trying to get some Triscuits from the pantry. Xivu must cause fights and war. Every time a war breaks out in the universe, she gains power. My home is war. My voice is a battle song. For as long as you have worshipped war, you have worshipped me. I'm here to claim my tribute. It is overdue. Xivu Arath to the Cabal of Torah Bottle. And Oryx must explore. He must always find new places and new ways of doing things. As the navigator, you must obey your nature forever. In your immortality, Arish, you may never cease to explore and inquire for the sake of your children. This is the worm god speaking to Arish. So now that we have clarified the ways the three hive gods gain power, gone over that the king title is meaningless for this argument, and explained that Oryx killing his sister doesn't hold a lot of weight to power, I will now put them in the ranking I feel is best. Savathun is weakest in terms of strength of the three. Now, there is an argument to be made that she would be the strongest after receiving the light, but I'm not 100% sure. Savathun's power pre-light revolved a lot around lying and tricking those she came in contact with. That isn't really the greatest power siphon. And she even knew this, which is why she was working on plans to try to find a new power source. Between experimenting with time dilation and black holes to having a permanent battery with the Dreaming City curse, Savathun knew there was no way to survive on her nature alone. This is why I put her at physically the weakest. But if this was an intelligence contest, she would be at the very top of the list. She's big brain. Now here is where people are going to get upset. I'm putting Oryx next. Stronger than Savathun, but weaker than Xivu Arath in terms of strength. Oryx was a very capable foe and member of the Witness's army. But a lot of what we know in the Books of Sorrows about his conquests may not actually be 100% facts. Everything in that book is told from Oryx's point of view, and with the intent of being final shape propaganda. It's the best we have right now for history of the universe, but we need to keep that in mind when talking about Oryx's strength. We can also add in that sure, he took Riven, but he also had to play by her rules to take her. She stopped him, one of the only beings that has ever done that, unless he succumbed to her desires and he wished for her to be taken. A lot of Oryx's power came from his ability to destroy people's will and take them. Even in the Books of Sorrow, it would sometimes take him hundreds of years to defeat an enemy. And I know he killed a worm god, but he was also scared of another worm god. The worm god screamed at Oryx when Crota allowed the Vex into his throne world. So while Akka was the worm of secrets, he was definitely not the worm of deadlifts. If this was a list of the most powerful wills, he would most likely be at the top of the list. Xivu, on the other hand, is the strongest hive god. She is the god of war and received her strength from not only fighting herself, but whenever wars broke out in the universe. Her ability to gain power was literally testing her strength and overcoming tougher and tougher enemies. She may look like a cinnamon roll, but she will kill you. Bunny Mommy has no time for your shenanigans. She even gains power from when you try to fight her. That's why I kept telling people on TikTok before Season of the Witch, we would have to be able to find a way to defeat her without actually going to battle with her. We needed to find a way to cut her power off. She lost in Season of the Seraph last year because Rasputin sacrificed himself. Self-sacrifice is one of the only ways to weaken her. How can that person, someone that even if you try to fight, you try to throw your supers at, throwing your supers at them makes them stronger. Every fist, every knife in their chest makes them stronger because the act of fighting is where they draw their power. You can't compete with that. Now, I could smell the fingers angrily typing at their keyboards, getting ready to explain why Oryx is the greatest of all time. And honestly, that's okay. Like I said, this is just my opinion on how I see things, but let's get to the final strongest member of the Witness's army, Rolk. This beady-eyed, long-legged, grasshopper-looking dude is by far the strongest enemy we have ever faced. He is also the most dangerous. Rolk is the poster child of sociopath and rage issues. Rolk single-handedly reached into the guts of the Leviathan and pulled out a single rib. Do you know how hard that is? Honestly, I don't know. I don't usually rip ribs when I'm in someone's guts. The entire raid boss fight with him, he was laughing at us, mocking us, and literally fighting us with his hands behind his back. Every other boss we have ever faced gave their all to us, and we still kicked their pointy buns. Rolk, on the other hand, would have beat us easily if he actually tried. We see this in the final stand. He realizes he underestimated us and goes all out, and if we don't stop him fast enough, he wipes us. He could have done that at any time and chose not to. His arrogance is what got him killed. So my list from weakest to strongest is Aramis, Callus, Nezarec, Savathun, Oryx, Xivu, then Rolk. If people have other thoughts, I would very much enjoy hearing about them in the comments. At the end of the day, I may be wrong, because every time you power scale something, you pick and choose which piece of lore you want to be more important than other areas in lore. You decide that this act or this feat means more than this other one. There is no universal construct when it comes to power scaling. So thank you all for watching this video, and a special thanks to my VIP and above members, Prince Mav, Son of A Mitch, and Pulse. If you enjoyed this video, please comment, like, and subscribe, and remember, hunters never die.